Hi, my name is Badri, and my topic is going to be history of FDI in India and what has been its journey through the years. Now, let's take a quick look at what is FDI. A foreign direct investment is an investment in the form of a controlling ownership in a business or a company in a different country, right? In the target country. This can either be done inorganically, wherein you buy out the entire company in the target country, or it can be done organically wherein you expand your operations in another country. Now, FDI is composed of the short-term capital, long-term capital, and the equity capital, which is shown in the balance of payments. It can either be done through joint ventures, transfer of technology, participation in management, and so on. Now, what are the different types of FDI? First, you have the horizontal FDI, wherein a firm duplicates the same stage of the value chain in the target country. You have platform FDI, wherein one country invests in the second country mainly for exports to a third country. Or you have FDI, wherein a firm through FDI moves either up or down in the value chain, and it invests money to do that. Now, why exactly do companies follow FDI? You have various advantages which comes with foreign direct investments. They can be various kinds, right? Like you can have low corporate tax in the target country, you can have preferential tariffs, you can have special economic zones, you can have investment subsidies, land subsidies, relocation, labor, free labor, R&D support, and so on. Now coming to India, FDI in India can mainly be done by two ways, right? You either have the automatic route, wherein you don't need any prior approval. You just have to inform the government or the RBI that you'll be investing money in a company, and you can go ahead and do it. The second option is the government route. Right now, for the government route, you basically need prior approval from the government, which will then look at your application and then decide if you can provide FDI or not. Okay, now let's begin by looking at the journey of FDI in India from the pre First World War period. Right, in this time, India was mainly ruled by the British. British countries were the main source of foreign capital in India, and majority of it was done during the for the tea plantation. Right, if you look at the years 1896, 1900, 1910, which is basically before the First World War, you had investment in the amount of 400 crores, which is a very early estimate. And if you look at the nature of it, like I said, majority of it was done for the tea plantations by the British, which was in the range of 24 million pounds. Okay, now let's look at post First World War, but pre-independence, right? So from the years basically from 1920 to 1947, here is where you start having competition for FDI, right? So USA and Japan emerge as major competitors of to British, to provide investment for the companies. But beyond this, there was nothing major to talk about. Moving on to the early post-independence period, which is 1947 to 1961. This was characterized by the industrial policy revolution of 1956, and various announcements was made to increase FDI. So again, if you look at it from the years 1950 to 1961, you have in the range of 500 crores, which was invested in India. Moving on to the late post-independence, which is 1960 to 1977. This is a major time period in India to talk about FDI. It was clear to the country that the Industrial Revolution set off a chain of events where it became clear that more investment was needed in India in order to grow. So this was made sure that more. So India started looking for foreign direct investments. However, the government did take measures to make sure that there was no resumption of the economic exploitation, because in essential companies were owned by foreign companies. So India took steps to make sure that none of this it could not the economy could not be exploited by the companies. If you look at the various sectors where FDI was, you can see mainly petroleum, manufacturing, trading, plantations, utility and transport, and other financial and miscellaneous segments were the main area of FDI. If you look at the pre-liberalization, that is 1970 to 1990, before Manmohan Singh became the finance minister, this is when India was extremely safe in terms of FDI, because, like I said, the industrial revolution brought the need for FDI, at the same time making sure that India should not be exploited. So you had various acts, right? The Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices Act and the FERA, the Foreign Exchange Regulation Act, which was the main regulations which made sure that the domestic industry was still important and was very effective in making the economy grow. However, this kind of led to a negative effect because the austere model of industrialization and the highly protected local market made sure that India started lagging behind in terms of economic growth. Right, they could not catch up with the technological innovations of other countries because of the highly protected local market. So obviously, some steps had to be taken to change this, and we could then see that the FERA, which is the Foreign Exchange Regulation Act, was modified, and the restrictions which were placed on foreign companies were lifted. Companies which had more than 40% of finance of capital coming from foreign countries, the foreign equity, they were now treated as the same as fully owned Indian companies, right? So even if you had more than 40% of foreign equity, you were still treated on the same lines as Indian companies. And new sectors such as banking, telecommunication, highways construction, and management were also now made open, right, to the foreign direct investments. And India further started searching for more foreign investors at the highest level. Now, moving on to the liberalization period, which is post 1991. Manmohan Singh was the finance minister, and he brought about the Foreign Exchange Management Act, the FEMA, which promoted the inflow of FDI. This was a major step in India wherein FDI started growing by leaps and bounds. A large number of foreign companies started investing in India, and companies like General Motors, Ford Motors, and IBM, which had previously divested out of India when the economy slowed down, decided to come back to India and started investing in it. And even Asian companies like Davo Motors, Hyundai, LG, Honda, all of them decided to start investing in India. If you look at the list of countries which invested in India from 1991 till 2010, right, in a period of 20 years, you will see the top of the list were countries like USA, Mauritius, UK, Netherlands, Germany, and a little bit from Singapore as well. Now, looking back at FDI in recent times, we can see that it has been a major monetary source for economic development. The fast growing private Indian businesses and the cheap labor and the changing business environment of India makes it a very attractive proposition for companies to invest. And even though the FDI, it can be seen that economic liberalization started in the wake of the 1991 economic crisis, and slowly FDI has been increasing through the years, which has also resulted in around 10 million jobs being created. The 2015 report by Financial Times also said that India had now overtaken USA and China as a potential destination for foreign direct investors. And looking back again, so like I said, the Make in India movement also made sure that for FDI was increased. The insurance sector saw an increase in the upper limit from 26% to 49%, and in the ranking of India for FDI inflow, it was 15th in 2003, and post the Make in India movement, it rose to 9th, and in 2015, it became the top destination for foreign direct investments. Like I said, even in the past 3 to 4 years, majority of FDI has come from Mauritius, Singapore, Netherlands, Japan, and the United States. So, what are the major sectors where Make in India policy was enforced? Primarily, it would have to be the infrastructure, wherein again 100% of the FDI can be done through the automatic route with no prior approval. Followed by the automotive sector, wherein India is now the 7th largest producers of vehicle, and 100% of FDI is allowed through the automatic route. You have other sectors such as pharmaceutical, service, and railways, and textile industry as well, right? So India, the one of the largest exports of India is the textile industry, and again 100% of FDI is allowed through the automatic route. Now, the latest thing has been COVID-19, right, and how it has affected India. You can see that it has also affected the policies and the regulations in place for FDI in India. Recently, India amended its FDI policy to make sure that companies, especially countries like China, can no longer have FDI policy through the automatic route, right? Explicit approval is needed by countries which share a border with India, and they can only invest through the government route with prior approval. So, what was the main reason this was taken? So, if you look at HDFC Bank, the stake in HDFC Bank, which is owned by the People's Bank of China, has increased from 0.8% to 1.01%. Right. So, the amendment to the FIMA and the foreign direct investment policy make sure that any attempt by Chinese firms or any other firms to take control of the Indian firms which have been affected and weakened by the COVID-19 cannot be done so easily, right? So the SEBI has also started reviewing the foreign private investment from China to make sure that no takeover happens and the Indian companies are safe and stable. So if you look through the history of India till now, FDI has played a major role in the economy from the pre-First World War period, and moving forward, as India is expected to further grow, FDI is going to play a major role in deciding the Indian economy. Thank you.